Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. So we are going to see what are different types of arguments and parameters in function. In the previous session, we have seen function call and how do we define functions and different types of functions which are user-defined functions and built-in functions. So today we are going to continue our discussion with functions, specifically into arguments and parameters, types of arguments and types of parameters, and order of the arguments and order of different parameters, and how do we mix up types of arguments which are keyword arguments and positional arguments and default parameters. So let's see all of them. I'm sharing the screen. So here I'm starting by explaining positional arguments. See, what are positional arguments? Positional arguments are nothing but they are the arguments which are passed in the function call, and they are aligned with their positions by default. So by default means they see, if I mention one argument here as Alice and the second argument as 30, and I am calling a function with the two parameters inside it, so these arguments become positional arguments. And I haven't mentioned any keywords to it. I mean, I haven't mentioned like, name is equal to Alice. No, I'm not assigning them. If I assign them, it becomes keyword arguments. Simple. So I'm passing automatically like this. Alice, comma 30. So now if it goes to the function definition, which is this def keyword, and for name by default, the first position, the value present in the first position will be assigned to the name which is in the first position here also. The parameter will be assigned with Alice, and the age parameter will be assigned with the argument value 30. So by default, the first value will go to the first parameter, the second value will go to the second parameter, so which is nothing but position. So positional arguments are that. So let's take up only one simple example for positional arguments and run it. So this is how. So I'm calling this function greet person. Alice and 30 are the two positional arguments I'm passing into this function. And you go to this function and you have the name and the age. So name will be here, age will be here. And this print statement has a special format string option, and the values of the variables present in the function will come as it is to the value here. So this parenthesis indicate it takes up the actual value, whatever the data type or the data structure will be of the value. So it takes up that as it is. So name here and age here will come here. And so this is how positional parameters or positional arguments work. So simple. So let's see some theory. So they are the arguments which are passed to the function in the correct order. So order is mattered here. So specifically first value, the second value, orders will be really important. The order in which the arguments are passed matches the order of the parameters in the function definition. So the keyword arguments, they have to allow you to pass values to the parameters using the parameter names. I mean, I told you, right? I mention a keyword name or the parameter name. So when I mention the name of that particular value, it becomes keyword arguments. So why does it important? Because sometimes, if I by chance, by mistake, if I pass 30 here in the first parameter and Ali is here in the second parameter. See, how does it look? Hello, 30, you are Ali's years old. It got wrong. So whatever you do, the position here matters because it is positional arguments, right? The first value will go to name. So 30 will be assigned to name and Alice will be assigned to age, which is very wrong. It doesn't evaluate. So logically it's incorrect. But Python, do whatever you say. So, hello 30, you're Alice years old, which is very wrong. And that's the reason we have to use a keyword parameters. In case if I mention name is equal to Alice, because which is the name of the parameter here. So I'm defining that here itself, even though I'm mentioning in the second. See now, I get error because multiple values are given. Because for name, it is taking both the values. So now I'll just make it in this way. I'll remove, let's give it in this way. Here also. So if I am providing the keyword arguments, I need to mention the keywords. See now, even though I have reversed the order is reversed here, still the first value got name, hello Alice, you're 30 years old. So since I have mentioned the name of the parameter in the function call, this is nothing but keyword arguments. So name is equal to Alice is a keyword argument and age is equal to 30 is a keyword argument. Okay. I hope you got the differences and the priority of using positional arguments. So that's the difference. So if we are passing keyword arguments, we can pass those arguments in any order. The function call becomes more self-explanatory. A function can accept both positional and keyword arguments. Let's see that. So positional arguments must come first. Okay, I'll just add one more parameter, which is address. So I need to pass address. So I'll just mention. See, I'm not including a value or a name here for the parameter. So I'm not including the name of the parameter or the keyword. So it is just a positional argument. So address is a positional argument and name and age are the keyword arguments. So here you go. If I want to print it, I can print here. Having address. See, having address card street. Okay, I wanted space. See, address has come here because I've given here last in the print statement. So this is how I can mix up positional arguments and keyword arguments, but the order is really, really important. First, I need to give positional arguments and then only I can keep keyword arguments all together. Keyword arguments, multiple keyword arguments, I can keep one after the other, but I need to make sure positional arguments are all completed. So this is how I can use positional arguments and I can mix keyword arguments with positional arguments also. Hope everything is clear up to here. So now I'll tell you one more topic, but before that, with the default value. So we can see from these examples also. mm, See, add 3 comma 5, 3 will be passed to A, 5 is passed to B, so A plus B will be printed, which is 8. So positional parameter example. Here we have to notice we cannot miss the order. We have to keep the order in positional arguments. So, the Python doesn't recognize if you have followed the order or not. It just simply do whatever you say. So that's why you cannot mess up the order. You need to keep the order. So you need to provide all the arguments for the function, and they are mandatory also. So if a function has positional arguments, we have to pass it. So if you don't pass, we get an error missing one required positional argument. So the basic difference between keyword arguments and positional arguments are, so keyword arguments, see, it can be an interview question also. Keyword arguments, order doesn't matter. You can pass the values whenever, wherever you want, but you have to mention the name of the parameter, which is important. But positional arguments, order matters. So that's the basic difference between them. So if I want to mix positional and keyword arguments and overweave, we already followed it in the code. So which is nothing but positional arguments must come before keyword arguments. So that's the rule. So let's see multiple arguments. Okay. So if I want to include variable positional arguments, so variable positional arguments. So for example, let's do this itself. I'm defining div. I think total is the function name, and it should include multiple numbers. So I'll be doing just simply printing the numbers. What I'm doing simply, I have to call a function which has multiple inputs inside it. So here you go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So totally 5 numbers are there. These are the 5 inputs I have to give. So in these cases, Python helps us by providing a star parameter. So this star and simply one name of one simple parameter will work as keyword or sorry will work as arguments, I mean multiple arguments, star arguments. So those star arguments collects multiple number of positional arguments, and they will be stored it as a tuple. Remember, because if you want to perform any operation on these numbers, we need to remember, okay, that's a tuple. We can perform any operation for tuple, but you want to convert it to list, you can do it. Firstly, what I did, you follow the order. So I've called the function with the inputs of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it will go to this function called star numbers, and numbers will be stored as a tuple with the input numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then numbers are printed. You see here it's a tuple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then here you go, I've converted to list. So here we have list here. And then type of the numbers, tuple obviously. And the sum of the numbers, obviously you add them 9, 12, 14, 15. Simple. So this is how I can pass on multiple arguments using a star parameter, which is star arguments for keyword argument. Star args, star arguments for positional arguments. Double star, if you want to put double star and arguments, you have to do for keyword arguments. So in case if I have keyword parameters and I want to pass on multiple numbers, let's see here. So this is an example for multiple keyword arguments. So here you have display info function to display the information of multiple people. So here David is a positional argument and age is a keyword argument, city is also keyword, occupation is also keyword. So multiple keyword arguments are there. I need to pass them. So I need to make sure positional arguments are before any keyword arguments. So here the first parameter is a positional argument, so it will go to name. Okay, that's simple. And then I need to mention multiple arguments are there inside this function. So I am mentioning star star details. So details is a tuple. It will be stored as okay, okay. Here it won't be a tuple, it will be a dictionary because I have keyword argument. So keyword means I'll be having a key and a value pair. I'll be having a key and a value pair. I'll be having a key and a value pair, which is nothing but dictionary. So here details will be stored as a dictionary. Okay. And next, city, New York, occupation, G. So this is how I am mentioning multiple keyword arguments inside the dictionary. So simply, if I want to iterate over this dictionary, I want to print all the values of the dictionary. So how do I print it? I just use for loop using key and value. So for key and value in details dot items, dictionary dot items. So printing while printing, I'm replacing the underscore with a space. Okay, if there are any underscores, I'm replacing with space, and I'm just extracting the key and the value. So let's see this. See, so name David, and I see I've given a format string option so that I extract key separately using this, and I replace this, and then I'm having the value separately. Okay, so key dot replace dot title will help me to extract the key values from this dictionary, and this value will help me to extract the value from this dictionary. Okay. So this is about multiple keyword arguments. Let's see default parameters. Okay. So default parameters are nothing but, whenever we are not passing values to the function. So by default, it will give error, right? So you need to mandatorily pass all the arguments if they are present in the function definition. But in case if you miss so, how does the Python handles? It gives the error. But if I don't want to receive an error, so I can make use of default parameters and if at all, if I miss passing any values to the arguments also, still the function will work fine. So that's how the default parameters will be defined. So default parameters allow you to provide a default value for a function parameter. So if the caller of the function does not provide a value for that parameter, the default value will be used. If a value is provided, it overrides the default. So default parameters can be easily overridden. Okay. So whenever I'm passing a default parameter, okay, well and good. But if I want to override a default parameter, I can do so by the help of keyword arguments, obviously. So let's see a simple example. separately. Okay, this is an email sending. So using the default parameters, okay, because here you go, I'm passing only one values in the function call, which is the email ID. So it will go to a positional argument because positional arguments are, it is not having any keywords. So to address. So this is the to address. Email ID is the to address. And all other parameters here in the function definition, I'm not passing any of them. Observe that. I'm not passing any of them. And that's the reason they are called default parameters. So even though I don't pass any value, see, ideally what I had to do, I had to pass subject, I had to pass body, and I had to pass sender. So okay, all these values I have to pass them. It was my requirement. But now since I'm not passing any of these values, by default the program will be using the values present in the function definition. So what are the values it can take up? If I don't mention or if I don't pass the values in the function call, it will take up subject as no subject, body as nothing, and sender will be no reply at example.com. So this is how this is configured. So sends an email with customizable subject, body, and sender. This is a command. And I'm printing, just, in the output, printing the two address, sender, subject, and body. So this is how we can write an email. See, sending email to recipients from no reply, no subject, no body. Why? Because I haven't passed here. So if I haven't passed, the default values will be used. If I pass the values, they will be used. So if I am passing the value, like I have to override. See, why do I use the term override? Because it will take up the values which I am passing. But I mean, I want to override a value. The Python in the function in the Python function, one value is already defined, which is default values are already defined, but I don't want to use them in my function. I want to use the values which I am passing to the function. So that is how I'm overriding the values which are already defined in as default parameters. So if I want to override, what do? I just simply pass an value, pass a keyword value for that. Okay. So I'm commenting this and I'm making a call, function call, by including subject is equal to important update. So what I did, subject is equal to no subject is there in the default parameter section. I want to override it with subject is equal to important update. But where do you override and how do you override? You just have to include it in the function call. Whichever parameter you want to override, you include it in the function call, it will be done. See, important update is there. Earlier, no subject was there, but now it is overridden with important update. So like this, I can override any of the parameters. Subject and body both are overridden here. With keyword parameters, I'm overriding. You observe that also. Subject body are overridden. So that is fine. So there is a order to pass the values. So here also, when we passed here in the function call, positional arguments are first. Okay, non-default parameters. So non-default parameters are first, and then only the default values will be going. Parameters with default values must appear after parameters without default values. So that's the order you need to remember. So that's it for this video. Let's see two or more examples in the next session, and we'll go to lambda functions. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good day.